All right, we're back. That was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Why don't we start with some catch up because it's been a
All
while.
right. Let's catch up. I'm gonna do the intro, and then you want to do the catch up? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Cool. Hey everyone, welcome to the ninth episode of the Good Sound Club podcast. Uh, Obviously, I'm Tom, and with me is Cena.
Hey guys, it's been a while.
What's up? So what's going on, Cena? Long time no see.
Yeah, I've been busy. I think I've gotten two promotions at work, I think, since the last episode, so
Pretty good.
I've been very busy. But something has to pay for the audio bills.
It's the only way to do it.
Amplifiers don't grow on trees, unfortunately.
Yeah. Too bad they're not. Transistors aren't made out of wood.
We don't have the technology yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just watching on Netflix something about what if trees replace computers, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But
Trees replace computers?
yeah, like let's store data in a plant DNA, or let's have plants become light, like just
What about the guy on YouTube who makes computers out of tubes?
out of tubes. Oh, that guy's great. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever gonna finish, and I wonder what's gonna break his like computer. I wonder if he's gonna like have like a tragic event, not like health wise, but like computationally, like what's gonna be the tragedy? Like he's gonna divide by zero. Like I don't know if he's ever gonna show
hmm
that. But what's that guy's name? Like
Usagi Electric,
yeah,
something like that.
real interesting guy. Real interesting guy. I like his ideas. I like he just goes for it. I think he knows a lot more about tubes than a lot of people I talk to online do.
Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
he doesn't even care about the audio. He just wants them to be computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what they used him for.
Anything new with your system?
My system, no, no. No, I honestly, I think the more I stay the same, the better I get at listening.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
as I've downgraded, I feel I've actually become a better listener.
Mhm.
It's like I remember one time a friend he lent me like a full cal clear, just like everything. It's like oh my god, this is like this breaks everything. Like I had no idea sound quality could be this, and then I'm like wow, I hear things I've never heard before, and then I put on my 6XX, I'm like, oh no, I still hear the same thing. It's just at different amplitudes. It's not quite different. It was just more annoying. It's like it just showed all the noise in my system, and some people like that. Some
Mhm.
people want to be like, ah, gotta throw everything away, man. Gotta upgrade.
That's my advice. My number one advice is never upgrade.
Never upgrade. Yeah, you don't really know how good you have it.
You don't.
Yeah. I mean, for years I was so satisfied with the Grado 6R80. Years. I want to say 3 to 5 years. Only reason I changed was because the cable broke and I didn't know how to fix the cable. Now look at me. Not
Mhm.
much better. Not much better. That was awesome. Man, everything was awesome. Yeah, my friend was so wise. He told me don't look up headphone amplifiers, and I wish I'd listened to him. But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
But you have a little headphone amplifier now that you're modifying, right?
Yeah, I got a little Valley. I mean, that thing brings me joy. I mean, it's more fun to change parts than to actually listen to it. But I think that's a lot of DIY guys. There's some guys with some big projects. I'm like, I bet they just like doing it instead of listening to it. Like, why even listen
Right. Perpetually doing it.
for like an hour? And you're like, yeah, but you can build it for days, years. So I know some guys online they've been building one headphone amplifier for years. I mean, they break it apart, they build it again, dude. Like Legos, man. Why?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have the patience for it at all.
Yeah,
I'm
I get it, but I think that's a different hobby.
yeah, I was building a bottlehead crack for someone and they asked me to swap some parts and like I was just so impatient swapping them because I just wanted to listen to it again that I burned myself
Uh,
with the iron.
yeah, yeah.
So building something from scratch is like forget about it.
Yeah, maybe speakers are easier, but I don't know. Then you got to get a saw and you got to treat the wood. You got to look at graphs. I'm tired of looking at graphs. I don't want to build a speaker anymore. I'm tired of looking at graphs.
Well, I don't know if the graphs will help you, but just the physical effort required to swap stuff around and listen to it differently is big pain in the neck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why some people just buy like 20 drivers and just churn through them. There's some guys online
Hmm.
that are pretty popular that churn through drivers for fun. Like, what's that guy's name? Glow in the Dark Audio. I think that's what he does.
His thing is more amps than drivers. Yeah, I haven't seen him update his driver page in quite some time.
Uh,
I think he likes those Chinese full rangers a lot.
those are Lee Audios.
Yeah,
Yeah, those have a lot of acclaim, but I don't
a
know.
lot of fans.
You don't like them?
I haven't heard him. I couldn't say, but know a few friends who were not too jazzed with them.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, they're not that expensive, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend trying to get me to build a, is it Copperhead? I think.
The Parts Express kit.
Yeah, the Parts Express kit.
You know what's funny? That kit is $99,
That's a good kit.
and the the GR Research thing that uses virtually the same driver, maybe 10% better. How much is that? It's like $500.
Is it with the? Is there like a cap upgrade in the crossover?
Let me. Okay, maybe I'm talking shit.
I remember the
Okay,
last
it's
one
three
was
hundred bucks.
300.
300 bucks,
That's too.
whatever.
That's too much. That's too much for a full Ranger. There was a guy. I know we're kind of just like dishing out, smack talk, but there was this guy that worked with him. What's his name? Danny. He worked with Danny, and what he would do is he offered uh, his own MDF cuts for Danny's boxes. And then I don't know, maybe they had a falling out and stuff. But one time, that guy on his YouTube channel, he posted, "It's like, all right, this is my MDF box, and this is the crap they're selling you instead." Yeah, come on. So that's really what it is. I mean, that's so funny though. Like, and you see it. I mean, not trying to be sensational or anything. No wonder Amir really shit on it. I mean, like the it's not a good construction. It's I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's great, but
No, it looks like a piece of shit to me.
yeah, I mean,
If you're listening, please do not buy the GR Research LGK. You can do better.
they just don't cut it right. They don't put a lot of time into that. That's like they're just trying to sell you the kit. I mean, I don't think they put as much time into it as maybe a bottle head. I don't have a bottle head, but maybe you can tell me what a bottle head kit is like. But it looks so bad. The MDF they cut is just, oh my god.
Yeah, and I think all the photos show it has beveled edges, and it actually doesn't. Like what you get is square. You have to bevel it yourself.
Yeah, I think they do that for tolerances. I think
Right.
that's a tolerance thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, we know our manufacturer's not going to do a good job, so we just make it bigger than it needs to be, and not a fan of that. But I mean, I'm sure it can be good, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. I mean, sometimes you got to pay a little bit more, but
$300 gets you a pair of Vanitus.
Vanitu's, yeah,
Those have an amp and a DAC and Bluetooth and
no crossover, no soldering,
crossover and a remote,
a remote.
just for perspective's sake.
Yeah, I think I would get Vanitu's or this Copperhead with that T9 amp if that thing's good.
What's a T9 amp?
It's a Chi-Fi amp that's been I mean, it's ODM. I don't know who makes the real ODM, but I've seen 3 or 2 clones of it, and it looks like what you get, but What are your friends? Dr. John likes the FX Audio, whatever the other name is. Like I feel most Chinese companies are. I feel there's only two Chinese companies that attract the mainstream, but they use like eight names, like
Yeah,
actually eight names, or maybe they all get the same chassis work. But I really I don't think that's the case. I
yeah,
think it's just two, and they're like different name, different name. It's better for Amazon if we have different names. Just recent.
really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a marketing tactic. I mean, they have like slightly different things, but it's the same thing. You look at it, and it's like, oh, this is just a different screen printing on the front.
Makes you think who buys this stuff. Like,
I don't know. I think it's just marketed. I think it's just marketed on Amazon. I think people just buy stuff on Amazon.
mm,
If you look hard enough on Amazon, most things you'll find are is the same thing repeated multiple times with different brand names, different company names, maybe a different color. But if you're lucky, if you in like, I'm not saying if you're lucky, but if you're diligent and you kind of understand how the marketing and the system works and the stock and how they hold stock. So
mm-hmm,
essentially, they're trying to flush their stock as quick as possible. That's that's the marketing. And when things are outdated, they get liquidated, and they're trying to get rid of them, and they might get rid of them on eBay, AliExpress, Alibaba, Amazon, usually even Etsy. I don't really see a lot of Walmart too. If you go on Walmart.com, I mean, you can type almost anything in there, and you'll see something. I don't want to say like chi-fi, but you'll see like clones of clones, and just they're just all the same. They're not even clones. It's the same thing with the different like paint on it. But
right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like it's either it has to be so cheap that you don't care for brakes, or get it hand built by someone maybe, or as I always like to say, like a guy in his hut building stuff just because he wants to do it. He's probably a good choice. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of flushing stock, I sold all my gear.
that feels good. Demanded percent
Yeah,
speed run. it,
speed run.
it only took a few months, but what was the big motivator in that, and just changing your whole.
Um, my system, my headphone system. Well, my speaker stuff, I have too much. I'm always selling it. I
Yeah.
always have like my friend, my Georgian friend in real life. He has very good advice. He says, "Sina, put everything for sale, and if someone wants to give you money for it, take it." So I said, "Okay, I see what you mean." So at any given time, I have a ton of stuff for sale, and if someone wants to pay me for it, great, I sell it. That's the only way I can manage not being buried in this stuff. But anyway, my headphone system. Um, I had an amp DAC, I had a USB converter, I had cables to hook it all up, and I've owned it for a while, like 3 years, and it's brought me a lot of pleasure. But I noticed that I was just listening to it less and less and less. And at first I thought, okay, maybe I'm too busy to be listening to music, but that wasn't really true because I would, listen to my Vanitudes or my AirPods or something. I thought, okay, maybe it's just too inconvenient. Like I don't want to turn it on and let it warm up and sit down and listen stuff like that. Then I thought that's not really true either because when I do actually do it, once in a blue moon, I'm actually not listening to it as often as I like for as long as I used to. I used to sit there for 4 or 5 hours listening to headphones, but now I just never do it anymore. And eventually I realized that as silly as it sounds, it just wasn't as good as I thought it was. I kind of made these images in my head of why I needed to own all this stuff to kind of listen to music, and um, when you convince yourself of something, you start to believe it, right? But when you detach yourself from it, you kind of invest in other aspects of life or whatever. That effect wears off, and then you can kind of see more clearly. And I just saw that I don't need all this stuff. I sold it, and the killing blow was kind of my last listening session with it. I listened for 2 hours. Okay, it sounded pretty good. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll actually keep this stuff. And then I started getting tired and yawning. I kind of wanted to shut it off. Um, and just on a whim, I decided to try a different pair of headphones I don't need. an amplifier at all, I decided to try those directly from my computer. So I just bypassed like all of the gear and plugged it straight into the computer. And then I didn't go to bed. I listened to the music for another 2 hours. So I was like, "Whoa!" That was like the moment I was like, "Okay, I got to get rid of all this stuff. I don't need it." I feel great. Feels good. Feels very liberating. So
Yeah,
that's
we joked a few times about the inconvenience, and sometimes in audio, it's just like, yeah, man, I got my 4 boxes stacked up, especially you. I mean, I've seen photos of your actual stack, and it's
yeah.
always funny to me. It's like, man, how
It's
it's
ridiculous.
so hard to even switch stuff on. I wouldn't wanna do that, but
Yeah, it was fucking heating up my room.
oh, yeah.
Um, now that it's summer, it's like, yeah, shit. I'm very glad that I kind of I snapped out of it. I think
Yeah,
so. Now I listen to these pair of Koss headphones that I really like. Listen to them straight from my Mac, and now whenever I'm done work or whatever, it's like okay, it's time to listen to some music. I don't have to turn anything on. I literally just open the Mac OS settings. I switch the output from my speakers to my headphones, and I just listen to music for a few hours, and it's great. I love it. That's like how life should be, and I can't believe I was living it any other way.
yeah,
You
it's
know?
the inconvenience, like, I don't know. Like I've said, like, many times, it's like, if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, I mean, this is I don't see the point. Like, it's just you're just trying to find ways to make it make sense, but to me, it just never made sense. It's like, "Oh, yeah, let me wait 2 weeks," "Okay, I waited 2 weeks. Alright, it might sound good now," and then I know a guy
It might sound good now.
I know a guy who thought it sounded
When you
worse.
wake up in the morning and you think, "Damn, I really hope my system sounds good today. I want to listen to that new album."
I know there's a guy I know, and, shout out to you. He knows who he is, but, he's like, "Yeah, day 8 sounds so good. Day 15, I just wish I was back at day 8." But he can't. It never stays at day 8. It's a true story. He's being so sincere to me,
Yeah,
and because, like, I knew deep down he was actually coping. Like, it's like I'm like, "Damn, dude, like, I wanna do what I can because he has another good deck,
right.
Sonic Frontiers, like a tube deck, and I just shipped him tubes. I'm just like, "Man, I hope he just never wants to turn that Yuki on again." And he just if he wants to change sound, he can just, change the tubes in the Sonic Frontiers, and I don't know if he's still listening to that, but,
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while,
yeah,
but
I think it's a good sign. I think it's a good sign.
that's a funny story. Day 8.
Yeah,
He wants to
day
relive
8
the glory days
is
of day 8.
good. Day 1, not so good. Gets better. Every day you're like, "Oh my god, it's getting better." But
It's like Pablo effect.
I think he's actually a good listener when he's like, "Wow, day 8 does sound pretty good." And then day 15, he's just like, "Nah, that just." Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
sometimes it's like that, man. But I converted all that capital into reinvested it into my speaker system. So um, I have some exciting stuff coming from Japan.
yeah, I'm excited about that.
Should I talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, there's a brand in Japan called Sparkler Audio. They've been in business for a while, since 2013, I think, but I knew of them since 2019. And the way that I get is if I find something that's like interesting, I'm like, I'm going to try that one day. And, it may not be tomorrow. Sometimes it takes years for me to circle back to
Yeah,
it for whatever
we've
reason.
joked about the designer a few times. Like
Yeah.
like his writings, that this like, "Huh, okay, this guy's very dead set on what he believes."
Yeah, I think it's one guy. I don't know if he has anyone working for him, but I think it's one guy. He used to work for 47 Labs in Japan, who they're pretty big in Asia and I guess all around the world. I don't know if they make stuff today,
I think they still
but
do.
yeah, they were known for these tiny little DACs and these tiny little amps and battery powered stuff and kind of just this whole Japanese minimalist philosophy. So Sparkler, which is the guy's new company, seems to be very much an extension of that, but also different. And there's really very little press about him in the West. Not sure why. There's like one review I think of one of his CD players, but I guess he probably just doesn't give a shit about marketing. Maybe this is not his only gig. I'm not sure really, but anyway, I was super interested. Some of my friends owned his digital products in the past and had good things to say. And I started emailing with him. I wasn't actually expecting to buy any of it, but I just started emailing with him. Um, all of his products are solid state, right? And I've always been like at least I thought I was a vacuum tube guy, and I never really imagined myself having an all solid state system ever, like ever. Um, but I emailed him a question. I just said, "Hey, how are you? I'm just curious because I've read your website and I agree with a lot of like what you say in terms of your philosophy and stuff. Um, is there a reason you don't make triode amplifiers? Why do you make transistor amplifiers?
Yeah.
Is it because of the cost or just the difficulty of sourcing output transformers or what?" And his answer was really interesting. Let me see. Let me actually read what he says because I don't want to paraphrase. Thank you very much for your interest. The reason why we don't produce products using vacuum tubes is not because we've never made a vacuum tube amplifier, but because there are a lot of excellent products on the market, so there's no point in competing. I personally have made vacuum tube amplifiers for comparison, but I don't like it very much because it gets high voltage electric shock. I don't know if that's a joke that was lost in translation or what. His English is actually very good. On the other hand, when it comes to semiconductors, so transistor amplifiers, there are no very good products on the market, so I feel the significance of making them. I think many semiconductor amplifiers have a strange design and don't bring out their goodness. That's the meaning of what we work on. In fact, there are many customers who listen to our products and are surprised by the sound quality. So that was a good answer. I think that's like the best possible answer he could have given. It's like not because I can't or I don't want to, but it's just because the market doesn't need it, which
Hmm.
he's definitely right about that. And he thinks it's more interesting to use this other technology that other people are not capitalizing on. So I thought, okay, what the hell? I'll try it.
Yeah. No, his stuff seems really interesting. I think he also worked on the 47 Labs CD player, like their newest one. It's like some huge CD player. Not that it's too relevant, but I think that's one of their newer products that they currently are making. Some just giant CD player. But that seems so against what the philosophy is. But I think that's just it's what the market wants, and some people are like, oh, I don't want this. I want something more expensive and bigger and flashier, and I want people to know what it is.
It is pretty expensive stuff, yeah. The 47 labs. I don't know what the actual pricing is, but I know it's not exactly cheap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I read one review of 47 Lab because I was interested in the game clone. The game clone was really interesting to me. I never knew the lore of the game clone, but the lore supposedly goes like this guy found this chip and he thought it was good, and he tried to conceive of the smallest signal path imaginable. He measured it. Everyone thought it was cool. People thought it sounded great.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's pretty stock. It's like almost like the reference circuit board, honestly. But I think he just changed like a capacitor to actually be smaller, and
Mhm.
he made his own like a simple power supply, but it's like a dual mono design with stepped attenuators before the input. It's actually cap coupled on the input too, so I thought I was like, oh, that's kind of he likes the sound of those electrolytics, but no, 47 Labs is much more expensive. Um, I think I would go with the Sparkler.
Yeah, the sparkler is actually really affordable, and the yen is not doing too well. So good for us North American buyers. I actually ended up. I looked at his product catalog, and I kind of thought all this stuff seems pretty good, but none of it like exactly fits my needs. So when I started talking to him, it turned out that he would actually make like semi-custom products, and what I mean by semi-custom is like they fit like a defined topology or design or whatever, but he'll tweak some things to meet your needs. So I was like, yeah, I need a phono stage. I don't want to have a separate box just to listen to records occasionally. Um, can you add a headphone jack on it just in case I want to listen to headphones occasionally, stuff like that. And he was very accommodating. So And I expected it to cost a lot because I was making all these requests, but really it didn't seem to change the price very much at all. The only thing I couldn't get that I really wanted was a remote. Um, it just wouldn't work. Like he does have an amp that has a remote, but for this particular configuration that I wanted, he
Mm.
explained why it wouldn't work, and I said, okay, I'm willing to concede on that. I'll have to get up and change the volume, but it's okay. I typically don't listen sitting down anyway, so as strange as that sounds, it's okay.
You stand up.
I stand up, I pace back and forth. Yeah, it's when I if I can sit down listening to music, unless I'm listening with headphones, in which case you have to.
Yeah.
But if I'm listening to speakers, if I'm sitting down, I just feel really weird. It's like sitting down at a rock concert. It's like you know you just feel very strange. If the system sounds good, I don't want to be stationary. I don't want to be sitting down, and that's very much the antithesis of how a lot of people enjoy their systems. The image of the audiophile in his Herman Miller chair with his whiskey or whatever, leaning back and playing jazz at the pawn shop. But I don't do that at all. I listen to rock music. I listen to popular music. I listen to electronic music. It's very difficult for me to listen to that stuff sitting down.
Yeah, I definitely want to go more into the music we've been listening to in a little bit, but I think that's kind of a good place to start off on our main topic, which I believe is transients.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been pretty into transients uh, ever since he lent me a hybrid amplifier. I think that's like the first time I was like, oh dang, okay. Like
Hmm.
there's more to the sound than the frequency response or how it or the gain structure or like the input tubes or all kinds of
Yeah.
metrics. I think I when I borrowed one of your amplifiers, I heard this transient effect. It was almost universal on all my headphones. By all my
Hmm.
headphones, I just mean like a Grado. I think I had a Genesis, an original Genesis, an ETA Genesis, and Sennheisers. No, I didn't have Sennheisers at the time. I remember, but I wish I did. But it gave this like energetic feeling. Like it was just vibrant. It was vibrant, and not in a way that it particularly called to itself, but the energy that was needed, I felt was always there. It always felt energetic. It always felt like the music was flowing. But I really liked. I think maybe some people call it Pratt. Maybe that's part of Pratt.
Hmm.
There's some pace, rhythm, and timing. I think it must be transient because when you try to describe it in a frequency response, it doesn't make any sense at
Hmm.
all. Um, so what do you think?
Yeah, that Pratt term has kind of been bastardized by, ironically, gear that is not so good with transients. But I won't get into that. I always thought that I was like a tone guy, like that tone was everything. I think I may have even said that on the show at one point. It's because that um, when I first got into speakers, I didn't really have the budget to buy anything new.
Yeah.
um, and so I started buying vintage speakers, and that quickly led me to just buying Alnico speakers.
Yep.
And then I realized, like, my God, these have much better tone than modern stuff. And so I thought, okay, maybe tone is everything for me. But the more time has gone on, I realized that all of these surface level subjective attributes, such as tonality or timbre or even dynamics,
Yeah.
they're all pretty much meaningless as it relates actually to the perception of music. Music is really um, highly organized sound, and what organizes sound is the relationship of time, right? So sounds and time. So if something's wrong with your timing, your transients are not correct. You're not getting the beginning of sounds or the end of sounds or the proper relationship between the two. It really disturbs um, the meaning of music really heavily to the point where it doesn't matter what other traits you have. It just sounds like messed up. So that's kind of been my realization over time, and why I've been gravitating more and more and more towards gear that um, or systems, really, I shouldn't say gears, systems in general that respect the timing and the playback speed of music. They don't slow it down, and actually, conversely, the opposite is also just as bad. They unnaturally speed it up. There's a lot of equipment like that too. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Is that transients are super important, and not enough people, I think, really pay attention to them in equipment evaluation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that was a moment I first started thinking about it because it is something that it almost like transcends like what we consider to be music when we listen to it. It's like it's so true. Like you hear a bell, like it's just like sometimes it hurts. Drums, like especially anything live. I think anything live is
Mm,
like the transient information is ridiculous. It's so different.
yeah.
It's I like to think if I cared about measurements, I would have figured out all of it already. But I think that's not true because I don't think they even understand the importance of what their distortion measurements are. I would assume that something with better transient preservation is better, like almost unanimously.
Well, kind of the philosophy that I'm leaning towards, although it's important to not turn philosophy into kind of rigid dogma or strict rules, but the philosophy that I'm leaning towards is every single component you introduce inside the playback chain from like the source to the actual transducer does affect the playback speed. It either blurs it, so like it slows it down, or it speeds it up. So the kind of the goal is to make it just long enough to where it works objectively, like it produces sound of a reasonable volume and all that. And it also is balanced, meaning that the sound doesn't lean too much one way or another. It sounds like a really simple goal, but it's actually incredibly difficult to achieve from what I've found. But generally, if we can make any sort of generalization, I think that doing less harm um, is more important. To do less harm, the easiest way to do that is to just have less stuff in the playback chain. If you don't need an extra set of interconnects, don't add them. If you don't need a phono stage to be in a different box, don't add it. Stuff of that nature, because then depending on your beliefs, let's say you believe in cables, let's say you believe in vibration control. Okay, you have to add a phone stage. Now you actually have to worry about its power cable. You have to worry about its interconnects. You have to worry about the feet you put on it. You have to worry about what surface you put that box on. It's like um, all these things kind of affect the sound depending on,
Yep.
again, on your perspective. And the simpler the chain is, just the less elements there are to manage, and the more you can kind of hone in on um, whatever qualities are most important to you.
Yeah. You said that quite a few times. I mean, what do you think of too little? Is too little worse than too much?
Yeah, actually, I would say too little is worse than too much. Um, for me, anyway, it's kind of equally as bad. Either way, what happens? Too little, too much. The way that you know it's too little, too much, you get bored listening. You don't want to listen to music anymore, so you shut it off. Too much, what it tends to do, it tends to blur the sound heavily, and so kind of subtle but very complex relationships between musicians, their instruments, their intonation, their rhythm, all of that is kind of lost in translation. Um, that's typically what happens when it's too much. And the sound is very comfortable. We talked about that before, comfort versus clarity. So the sound might be comfortable, might be soothing for the ear. You might get, certain aesthetic pleasures like, oh, the vocals are so warm or something like that. But at the end of the day, you might listen for a few minutes, a few hours, and then you get bored. So that's kind of the plague of too much, too less, too little, I should say. Sorry. It's typically not a matter of um, the playback speed being disturbed. Usually that's correct, but then there's something else missing. It's usually something related to the solidity of sound or dynamics or weight, kind of words along those lines. That's typically what's lacking with too little. But the end result is the same. You don't feel like listening, or you get fatigued, or you turn it off. So I think both of them are bad, but I think too little is worse than too much, because at least too much can be comfortable. You can listen to it for longer. typically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Is there? I had too much in the past, and it just caused so many other problems. It just caused so many other problems. Like you might get noise, then you got to figure out like, oh man, do I have enough outlets? And you got to get a power strip, and you.
Yeah. You know what's really weird? Um, I know exactly, and I'm sure this is true for many people. I know exactly in my head the type of sound that I'm looking for and I like and what I like to hear. Verbalizing it, even in the same spoken language with other people, is so difficult. Like you and I talking, I could try to explain it, and maybe you'd get some of it, but not really. But interestingly enough, a lot of the time when I read um, the audio philosophy of people from the East who are not native English speakers. Either they speak, Slavic languages, or they speak Japanese, or there's a lot of audiophiles in Eastern Europe and Japan, right? For some reason, reading their stuff translated to English makes so much more sense to me philosophically than reading other English speaking audiophiles trying to describe their points of view. And I don't know
Yeah,
if it's just the magic of translation that helps convey those ideas better, or if it's actually like a cultural thing, like the people that um, we're familiar with in the West, and the Western media and the Western audio scene just completely don't get it, or at least they don't get what I'm trying to get. It's probably a bit of both, but I think that's really fascinating. And I've showed you a lot of the
yeah.
stuff that I kind of read from over there, and yeah, I don't know if it makes sense to you too, or you just nod your
No,
head
no,
to the
it
monkeys.
makes sense. Like I'm not my head. 'Cause I know exactly what you're talking about. You read something, you
Yeah,
go, "Wow!" Like I said, 2 sentences, and I'm mind blown.
this guy knows what he's talking
It's
about.
like that guy said he said one word in that sentence, and it just conveyed more information to me than any thesis on anything I've ever read in the English. It's
Right, the 10,000 word DAC review.
I mean, they're thorough. I mean, some people want that kind of information, but for me, it's it's
Well, they think they want it, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, they think they want it. But these translated texts, it does feel like a philosopher. It's like, oh man, if I got the first translation of EML in English,
Right,
yeah, on this form in this day, and he's talking about, they're just so nonchalant about their opinions. It's like, this is my opinion. But it's
right.
not like,
That's you know what, that's the culture portion of it, is that there's no, pretense. They
mm,
don't give a shit, about what other people think.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
trying to prop their equipment choices up behind their philosophy. The philosophy is the equipment choice, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It
So,
does.
yeah,
'Cause
that's definitely a cultural difference of East versus West.
in the West, I feel the more expensive your DAC is, the more internet respect you get. It's
You become an authority.
yeah, it seems so funny to me. It's like I see it all the time, like every day. It's like, yeah, I got a Briscati. Like, you gotta respect me, bro.
Biscotti,
That
yeah.
that's how it's pronounced. I thought it was Briskiti or whatever, but it's
No, it's
Briscati.
Bricasti.
Brecasti? Oh,
Why? Isn't it
Brecasti, yeah.
Bricasti?
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, who cares?
Biscotti?
Yeah, I'm glad they make good products, but it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna buy that. It looks cool. I'll get one in gold. I mean,
Right, the gold version
yeah,
for the Saudi oil princes.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. But
Mhm.
that's a little joking around. But no, they just say information differently. It might be how they carry themselves. I messaged you the other day, and I was reading a text you sent me, and there was a word that stuck out. I didn't quite know what it was, and I looked it up, and it's Stepichev. Success and endurance are two words that describe you best,
Mhm.
and that's them. Or setting yourself goals and giving everything you have to achieve them is
Mhm.
a normal occurrence.
That's the guy's last name. You know that, right?
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's wow. That's awesome. That talk about fans. Talk about fans.
Yeah.
Like a huge
No,
cultural influence.
that's what happened with the sparkler guy, is,
Mhm.
when I after I emailed him, like, a couple times, he linked me to the Japanese version of his website. So he has an English and a Japanese version, and, the Japanese version has all the same products, but what's really interesting is there's so much more information on there, and by so much more, I don't mean, like, novels, but there's, like, a couple extra paragraphs that are missing from the English site,
The decision
or
making.
the sentences are the same, but they're just translated differently, and it's like the meaning completely changes. And it wasn't until I read the Japanese version of the site, translated, of course, that I was like, you know what, this guy sounds like a genius. I want to try his stuff. Um, so even within like the same person, right, writing for two different markets, you could say. I assume that he wrote what's on his English site too, because he doesn't have he has a distributor, but they don't market for him. So just the same person writing in two different dialects for two different markets, it's like saying, you know, different things. It was really interesting.
Yeah, actually lost in translation.
Actually lost in translation, yeah.
So what are let's go back into some of his writings. What makes him interesting to you?
Um, very obviously someone who thinks outside the box, which describes me with audio to a T. I like that. Um, he published some papers on some prototypes of transistor amplifiers. So very much, still in the vein of what the 47 Labs guy was doing with the gain clone, but gain clone was an integrated chip, like a power amplification chip, whereas the sparkler amplifiers are all discrete, so they're all individual, transistors in parallel or whatever. And he pays really careful attention to super fine details of the construction that other manufacturers don't even think about. So, for example, the quantity of solder that's used um, on a solder pad on a PCB. Yeah, it's important to use not too much, not too little to be neat, but he says it actually affects the sound. How bent the leads are in the PCV holes, removing the plastic film on electrolytic capacitors. Like to some people, these things might be neurotic, or they might think of them as being, audiophile bullshit, whatever. I don't care if that's your opinion. That's fine. But to me, um, to have that sort of level of
Hmm.
care about what you're making, it's kind of like one of those. What do they call them? There's a word for them. Those little Japanese gardens, those Zen gardens, the miniature
The rock
ones,
ones.
where it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, oh. You mean like
that executives put on their desks and
bonsai
stuff, and
trees?
it's like bonsai trees. Exactly. Thank you. So it that he builds amplifiers like someone would take care of one of those trees. So that was really interesting from the analog side of it. And then from the digital side of it, his philosophy there is also very fascinating. So obviously believes in non-oversampling. That's like one of the key things with the 47 Labs guys is they helped popularize non-oversampling digital converters, and I've been into that for a while now. But he kind of went beyond that. Uh, from what I understand, he thinks that one of the big two of the big problems in digital audio, just from what I understood, and of course some of this is lost in translation for real, but two of the big problems, one of which is phase shift that occurs during the quantization process, the digital recording process essentially,
Hmm.
and the second is a lack of overtones, like really high order overtones. So to combat that in his digital audio converter, he built a phase correction circuit. I have no idea how it works, but it's there. And he also built an overtone generator, which I also have no idea how it works, but it's there. Um, to other people who think that DACs are these very rigid things, they should just convert the signal and not add anything to it, blah blah blah. Well, first off, those people are idiots because if you actually think about what goes on inside of one of these modern Saber or AKM DAC chips, they're very much manipulating the signal. So to manipulate it some more doesn't mean anything. But beyond that, like I don't really care philosophically if he's doing stuff to the signal and it sounds better as a result. I fully welcome it. So Just the out of box thinking and the unique approaches, I guess. Just identifying problems, thinking about them deeply, and then saying, okay, here's what I think will help, instead of just okay, let's buy expensive cables, let's buy expensive equipment racks, let's buy a power conditioner, stuff like that. That's very much surface level thinking. It's not really trying to fix anything. It's just putting a band-aid on the problem.
Yeah, I personally love band-aids. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, I, have tried so many tweaks. I mean, I'm just gonna stick to my dolphin egg for my audiophile rocks, and I think that's as far as I'm gonna go.
Mhm.
I mean, it sounds good
There's
to
nothing
me.
wrong with tweaks. I think tweaks can be you know, the finishing touch. They're the icing on the cake,
Yeah, it's the
and they're
sprinkles.
important. But they're not going to fundamentally um, fix what's broken.
Yeah,
You have to have something you like first, and then enhance it.
yeah, I know.
I think most people get that. Some people don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't get a power conditioner or AC regenerator personally, but that's because I like single-ended circuits. So in a single-ended circuit, the power is in the signal path. So just
Hmm.
just not gonna do that. It's not what the designer intended, even if I think I am smarter than them. It's just I don't know. I think it's almost
Oh, the other thing I
blasphemous.
really liked is he sells a CD player that can also be used as a DAC. So it's a CD player with a digital input and analog outputs, which is not too many of those on the market. The ones that are suck. So that was good for me because I enjoy playing CDs. I also enjoy streaming, and I don't want to have two boxes to do those two separate things. So
Yeah, that one interests me a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could get a full stack of his, but I like the CD player. I've been looking for a CD player. Honestly, I'm at a point where I might just buy a PlayStation 1 and just use that.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to the 1543, but it's I think an AKM before the Velvet sound. So
It's a Bitstream AKM. Yeah, it's good. Maybe you can find one at Goodwill.
yeah, I mean, there's some on eBay. They're like $40. It's just chump change. I mean, but
Mhm.
yeah, there's new cases for them. So I'm waiting for this transparent black case. Not that it matters, but
What do you mean waiting?
waiting. I'm just trying to find excuses. Like, oh no, why buy it? Then I gotta wait for this and then that. But I think
Wait, so hold on. Are these audiophile cases
no,
or?
no, no,
Oh, okay.
no, they're not.
Just for people who were into PlayStations.
Yeah, people just into PlayStation. Um, I like audio, but also like retro gaming to a certain extent. I have an upsampler to convert like composite video to digital. I know it's kind of weird, but I think it's okay in video games, but in audio, I don't think it's okay. So yeah,
Upsampling it to your HDMI
yeah,
TV.
yeah. I use my A to D converter, and then I upsample it to 720p. It's a little
See,
funny, why is this okay, but it's not okay in the other sense. But
see, for me, it's not okay. For me, if I was into retro games, it'd have to be on a CRT, the way uh,
yeah,
the way God intended.
there is one TRT in my life, but I don't have access to it right now. It's like some
They're
giant
fucking pain in the ass, man.
giant Sony flat panel CRT.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. 1080p. No, it's not 1080. I don't know. Regardless, I like the simple life. I'm just trying to balance it all. Still, I mean, it's always to me, it's always a balance. It's like I want stuff, but I don't. And I think that internal struggle is always so difficult. But there's a lot of different internal struggles, and I think that's just one of them.
Hmm.
I recently just got a Instagram and still got audio stuff, man. That's a lot of inspiration. I'm not gonna lie, not a lot of hi-fi systems, and the hi-fi systems look so tacky, so gaudy.
Oh, it's all
It's so
for
lame.
posers.
But I saw one and like I had to share it with you. It was like a dual turntable, and I think reproduction tannoy speakers and just like 18
Mhm.
plants. And I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Plant plant-fi.
that's good. Yeah, plant fi. I mean, some people say they're not sonic absorbers, but who cares? Man? Like, it doesn't
They're
matter.
sonic enhancers. You don't need to absorb, you need to enhance.
Yeah, they just enhance my mind.
Yeah.
The plant vibes make it all better. Now, did you want to talk anything else about transient information, or you think that's pretty good?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, the Japanese seem to respect it a lot, with their stuff, like, across all their stuff, their speakers, their amplifiers, their transformers, like, you can kinda hear it in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of it has, what I've you can even hear it in their vinyl,
Yep.
masters. I might have talked about this before on the show, but, they just have a certain flavor to them, um,
Acidic.
and I don't know, again, if it's a cultural thing or what, but they respect the transients.
Yeah, I just wanted to end with that's what I like about my Valley one. I know it's not the end all be all, but I think I like the hybrid sound. I think I've decided I like the maybe add a little bit extra harmonics, for the digital stuff. I mostly listen to digital, but
Mhm,
I like that leading edge. Some people
mhm.
like switch.
It's really important.
Some people like the switching filters, but I like it in the amplifier.
You gotta have the correct sharpness,
Yeah,
or it's just boring.
yeah, yeah. So now I wanted to move, typically to our last segment, but this time wanted to change it up a little bit. Instead of digital music we've been listening to, the live music we've been listening to.
Oh, well, I have a concert tomorrow. I'm going to, it was rescheduled, so I've been looking forward to it forever. It's a Waxahachie. She's, what would you call it? Indie singer-songwriter. There you go. Indie rock, indie folk.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, she's very good. I'm, very excited. So that's tomorrow. Um, the last show I was it Fontaine's DC? No, no,
It
it
was a
was,
small show.
yeah, it was Tom Berlin. Yeah, Tom Berlin, also an indie singer-songwriter. I think she's from Kentucky. She was really good, really great live. And actually, very her new album is pretty well produced if you are into that sort of thing. But, um, yeah, the best show that I've been to this year so far would have to be, uh, it's tough. It's like a three-way tie. I was at Wolf Alice, whom I love. That was great. I was at, Amy and the Sniffers, who put on an amazing show. They were great. And then Fontaine's DC. Uh, the sound was not good, but the front man, I forget his name. He has a weird name. It's a Grind or something like that. Um, he was high out of his mind. He was on speed. Um, some sort of upper, I don't know, but he put on a very good show. But unfortunately, the sound of the venue was crap. So that's why it's not number one. Otherwise, it would have been. But yeah, those are the bands that I've seen. Waxahachie tomorrow, and I have some lined up for July too. What about you?
I recently went to this music event. It was called Bad Vibes. I don't really know who was going to be there, but I just went and they had this cumbia band. I've never really been into cumbia, but that was the first.
Kumbaya?
Yeah,
You mean kumbaya?
no, cumbia.
What the hell is kumbaya?
It's like Latino like tropical music. But
Okay.
it's fun. I mean, yeah, it was a strange event. They had like a crew member playing the CRT and they were doing like CRT visuals. And then like
Uh huh.
I think the percussionist, he told me to look at the TV and I looked at the TV and the music was so good. Like I was like, wow, this is like I get a once in a lifetime music video or visualizer as I'm hearing this live. There's near no digital to analog conversion or no phase issues, none of that. It sounds great, amazing. Like I'm wearing earplugs, of course, but wow, that was like I couldn't believe it. That was like some of the best ever. And then after that, it was this drone band that's local. They've been going for a few years, I think 3 years, and they're called D-Rex. Wow, that band, my God, it was like if Death Grips was good. I hate saying that, but that's really what it felt like.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Live music just sounds different. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I saw Yusuf Days, I was like, wow, like there's the timing is so different. Like the Pratt, like it's
right.
not the same. It's not the same. I don't know if it could ever be the same, but I found myself that's where I was leaning towards. This more not just live music, but live recordings also. It's just different. It's not quantized. It's not in a studio. It's not clipped. They don't ship the recording, from a different state and then change the tempo on it
Mhm.
to make it fit. It's just there's swing to it.
Canned music.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to say it, but there's that transient information when it's live. Like a drum set does not sound the same on a on a headphone.
Mhm.
It just never will be amplitude wise. Like it just never will be mixed like it is live.
Well, I'm getting something tomorrow that, might, help with that. Transients in a headphone, but I'll
Oh,
save that for the next show.
yeah, yeah. That's tomorrow. That's exciting.
That's tomorrow. It came in 2 days from Japan. Crazy.
Yeah, they ship good. DHL or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was fairly concise, and I hope everyone enjoyed transient live sound decision choices, and just sometimes just making your chain simple.
Simple as king. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, simple, stupid. Huh? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.